The New York Knicks are one of the most iconic franchises in basketball history and possibly even in all of sports. This is an organization that prides itself for its die-hard fan base that have stuck together through the good and the bad. And some would dare to say that there has been a lot of bad. The Knicks can be notorious for their underwhelming failures and occasional lack of success. There's this strange bipolarity with the Knicks where they show audiences how they can become championship contenders with a strong roster, or just being a trashy team where its best player is Mario Hezonja or Emmanuel Mudiay. It's a complicated team. You'd think the 90s were their prime years of success with Patrick Ewing, but there was just one problem. Yeah. So how did the Knicks get all this recognition in spite of all of their ups and downs throughout history? Well, besides the 90s era, Melo and Jalen Brunson, the culture of strength and loyalty stems back in the late 60s to early 70s when the Knicks thrived thanks to the efforts of the New York captain Willis Reed. Alright, so here's a quick background check. Born in Hyco, Louisiana in 1942, Reed came from a hard-working family that instilled courage and determination into him, which got him to become an amazing athlete. I should mention that Reed even scored 58 points while playing barefoot in his senior year of high school after his shoes were stolen. I just can't imagine the pain of stopping on a dime barefoot. Oh, that just gets to show you the amazing player he was destined to be. He then played for Grambling State University, where he averaged 23.3 points per game and 21.3 rebounds per game and led the team to win a NAIA title. He had an insane amount of talent and potential, which eventually got him to be the first pick in the second round of the NBA draft. That's right, this Hall of Famer was a second round pick, and he would later make it clear that he was indeed worthy of a higher selection. In his rookie year, Reed had an All-Star appearance and won Rookie of the Year in 1965, a season where he averaged 19.5 points per game along with 14.7 rebounds per game and scored the second most points by a rookie in Knicks history with 46 against the Lakers. Reed also managed to score 32 points against the great Will Chamberlain the first time they faced off. Reed had a strong will to win and an undying tenacity which made him never back down against anyone. You know, funny story about him and the Lakers. Willis Reed actually got involved in a fist fight against the entire Lakers bench and won! The man won! The Lakers ended up with players that suffered a broken nose, a swollen eye, and 2 broken jaws. All coming from Reed's might. No matter how hard he tried to contain him, Reed kept throwing haymakers to all the Lakers in that game. The NBA even wanted to ban Reed from the league. In the end, he didn't get banned, but he ended up getting ejected from the game and got charged a $50 fine. 5-0. No commas, no more zeros. Imagine the consequences NBA players would face if they got involved in a fully fledged fist fight mid-game. As you can clearly notice, there's so much to say about Willis Reed. However, nothing compares to his 1970 finals run against the Lakers. A moment described by the late David Stern as, quote, the most dramatic moment in playoff history. This was a very special moment in New York sports. So, picture this. The New York Jets just won the Super Bowl, and the New York Mets won the World Series. New York sports were thriving, but one question remained. Can the New York Knicks win a title this year? There was no other choice but to win it all. It had to be done, though it definitely wasn't going to be easy. Imagine being one of the earliest teams created in the NBA, having to watch every other franchise win, and you're just there, ringless, hoping that any given season you can get the taste of what it feels like to win a championship. But New York didn't just want a taste. They weren't just hungry, they were starving. And so it began. They fought in the regular season to be the 1 seed, finishing with a 60-22 record, the best in the league. And so the playoffs come around and they defeat the Baltimore Bullets in 7 games and Milwaukee in 5 before they reach the NBA Finals. And so they make it to the big stage. But they would have to face the Lakers when they had Will Chamberlain, Jerry West, and Elgin Baylor on their team. This was said to be an entertaining final series. And so, the first game took place in New York, where Reed got a hold of Chamberlain defensively, limiting his scoring output to 17 points in Game 1, 19 in Game 2, 21 in Game 3, and 18 in Game 4. All the while, Reed was completely outplaying Will throughout the finals, averaging 31.8 and 15 in the first 4 games. So, not only did Reed manage to lock down Wilt, but he was also a total scoring machine. And that was until tragedy struck in Game 5. When 8 minutes into the game, Reed felt a tear on one of his thighs, making him fall to the ground in an instant, and seconds later, putting him out for the rest of the game. The Knicks managed to win Game 5, but were in serious trouble for the following games. As much as Reed tried to walk off the injury, he simply couldn't bear the pain. His teammates told him he had to sit out the following Game 6 and rest. Unfortunately for the Knicks, no one was able to properly guard Wilt the way Reed did, and so he broke loose and dropped 45 points that game. Things were not looking good. And so, May 8th, 1970, a date where all New Yorkers held their breath before the start of Game 7. Willis Reed came into Madison Square Garden earlier that day thinking of what he was going to do to win. He walked into the court, he realized he was able to take some shots, but he wasn't able to lift up his leg. He could only drag his leg. And so he thought to himself in that precise moment, quote, "I didn't want to have to look at myself in the mirror 20 years later and say, I wish I had tried to play." This was a moment where he could lose it all if he didn't try. Or this could be his one chance to win it all, and it's just one game away from deciding the outcome. The Lakers visited the Knicks in the Garden for Game 7. No seat was empty, and there was one question on everyone's heads that night. Is Willis Reed going to play tonight? Tension filled the arena as time went on and on before tip-off. And so there was Reed in the locker room about to make a decision that would change the course of New York sports history. And Reed decided to take painkiller injections to ease off the pain just for that one night where he would put everything on the line. Willis Reed came out of the locker room limping into the court, and everyone in attendance began to cheer with excitement. Both the Knicks and the Lakers lineup were in complete shock. This was a heroic appearance by Reed, which would completely change the outcome of this game with his presence alone. Now there was certainty and hope for the Knicks to win it all for the city of New York. The scriptwriters were in their bag for this finals run. And so there you had Reed on the court with a torn thigh muscle, guarding one of the most dominant offensive players the league has ever seen on one leg, giving it all he's got. The game starts and Reed sinks a jumper to log in the first 2 points of the game. Moments after that, he runs up the court, shoots another jumper, and makes it. Back-to-back field goals for the New York captain. Reed and the Knicks were fighting for everyone's hopes and dreams in New York, no matter the cost. Reed was running up and down the court while dragging his injured leg in hopes of contributing the best he can to his team. And in spite of Reed's stat line of 4 points and 3 rebounds, his efforts were more than enough in the one half he played to defend Chamberlain the best he could to inspire all of his teammates to take over the game. Walt Frazier would then go on to record a stat line consisting of 36 points and 19 assists, and after a hard-fought battle against the Los Angeles Lakers, Willis Reed and the New York Knicks finished the job. They won for the city of New York and went on to make history. So after this iconic finals run, Reed was the first player ever to win an All-Star Game MVP, a regular season MVP, and the finals MVP in one single season. He was also the first second-round pick to win an MVP. That was until Nikola Jokic accomplished that same feat in 2021. In addition, Reed's historic season is complemented with an All-NBA first team and an All-Defensive first team appearances. Thanks to his unwavering will to win and fighting through injury, Reed cemented himself not only as a star, but as a future Hall of Famer and NBA legend. He put his career on the line for that one game. He was one bad step away from potentially ending his career. Although sooner or later, Reed's body would no longer be able to sustain his immense physical efforts. He began to have some issues with his knee, which would soon worsen over time. Though some time later, Reed eventually led the Knicks to a second title in 1973, beating the Lakers in 5 and was named Finals MVP once again. Although that would be his final full season before spraining his right knee to the point where it was better for him to retire in 1974. And for an NBA legend, it was only right that his number 19 was the first number hung in the rafters in Knicks history. Willis Reed is the perfect embodiment of dedication and resilience towards any type of challenge. He had as big a presence on the court physically as he did emotionally. Like me, or like you, or like any other athlete out there, we've all got ourselves an inner Willis Reed. It has been 2 years since he unfortunately passed away, and his legacy is honored by the basketball world every single day. There will most certainly never be another player like Willis Reed.